Okay, so I'd like to call the Park and Recreation Commission meeting Monday, August 7th to order at 6:31. I would like to see if someone would make a motion to move straight at the splash pad to the. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we move that up. And then before we start, would you like to just briefly introduce, we have someone in the audience?
Yes, Savannah is our receptionist downstairs. Some of you might have met her, or if you call, you hear her voice. She's here just to learn a little bit about what the commission does, but she's also interested in being a recording secretary on any commission that might be available. So she thought, come to a meeting and see what it's like. Kathy, I don't know if you have time after to just talk to her. She's not looking for this commission. We're not trying to kick you off. She's just interested in being a recording secretary. Clerk of a commission. So she wanted to see what a meeting is like. So she thought, and she's doing an amazing job as a receptionist.
Nice to meet you. So with that being said, there is no public forum. Don't see any public forum, so we're going to go with Will Thompson, and the stayed at the splash pad. He has handed out these things I just put here. Mhm.
So, for the record, Will Thompson, architect. And what I believe you may have looked at these at your last meeting. We developed a couple of options that have some shades over deck area and part of the splash pad. And actually, a long time ago, when we were initially doing improvements to the deck, we actually developed a more extensive shade structure for part of discussion about whether we should, pick up this thread, and certainly nice to have a little relief. And the deck extension that part of this is shown on was an area set up so it would have some shades. And in general, what I've shown are two versions, a version C and a version D. And version C is this image that's a little more expensive.
All right.
And then version A is basically the almost very large as well. Now, if you go to the plan for version A, you can see where the main block here, and that's where those three triangular shapes are. Then over the top are two of these umbrellas. And all of them set up in a way that the footing work could occur kind of the perimeter of what's already in place. So, for example, the splash pad would be the backside of the benches, so that we're minimizing the disruption. And then at the actual deck, similar things going on where the posts are beyond the deck, which is not dissimilar to a larger version we have. Both versions would be structures that are made of wood. The umbrella-like ones are based on the certain unit size they have. And so basically those units over the splash pad, both versions are that height. The one over the deck, the more expansive one, would be made to order by a similar level. The actual fabric is designed that most of the time it would stay up, but seasonally it would come down on a very large stone. A lot of these structures have been used so extensively now that the method for attachment and putting them on, taking them off, is a lot simpler than this. Yeah, it's not something you want to do all the time, but it's not a huge thing. I'm trying to be careful of staff needs, especially before storm, but it would really be more like we think a hurricane.
Something like carabiners, you think?
It's sort of that kind of idea.
Yeah.
And we could get into details. But
Yeah.
That's kind of in a nutshell. I think the most important thing I would suggest is to look at the image of the sea. I think it's a little more in scale with kind of an important element of the it's not a height greater than the picnic pavilion. So, and it's sort of in the line of sight, so it's not really impacting that line of sight.
It's a concern. The concern that we had last C sort of has, part of the.
Tall.
And that people would trip over those, where they're just straight poles.
Yeah, it's they're actually just canted slightly, and it's not atypical. And I mean, they're used in part all the time. I can show you some photo example. I
I'm
think,
just saying that's
Yeah.
one of our concerns when we were talking.
no, I mean, you can say that about a single post too. It's.
Yeah.
I think the key thing that's really important is I think we're putting an element in there. We want it to read as something, like have enough substance that it sort of makes a little visual sense. And the whole curve of the main boardwalk sweeps into the zone. And it basically takes your line of sight through. And I feel like if there were just the large umbrella-like structures at that point, it's not really quite carrying space. And also it's not giving you as much.
Well, our thought last time was that the umbrella structures mimicked the pavilion structure like that. That was one thing that we thought about. And my other question was, as you know these products that we're looking at, if you had to choose, and I'm not going to blame you or whatever, but which one is the sturdiest? Is there one more sturdy than
Yeah,
another?
Actually, if anything, the larger element would be slightly sturdier because it's made specific stuff. The unit items that would, either version be on the splash pad, we'll get to that. That's made to order also, but it's actually designed probably like slightly more on just exactly what it needs rather than a little bit extra margin.
Right.
But
And it strikes me as you're leaning toward this.
significantly, I almost wasn't going to give you both, but I wanted to just show sort of variation. I feel like that it really carries visual space better. It works better in scale to do with some of the small trees near there. I feel like if there are just four of those elements that are the same, I don't feel like I didn't feel tired.
Okay, just a couple of comments that I would have. I would say from a standpoint from worrying about people tripping over poles, you can always landscape around that by putting wine barrels or other type of flowers around it. So that way it would be act as a deterrent not to try to crawl.
We can
True, we don't
use
run it.
beach shrubbery. I mean,
Yes,
John Cunningham has been involved with me on this project, throughout. So if we want to install on species,
the second, the main question I would have with the umbrella structures. What is to inhibit the local seagulls from setting up not home, but a perch on that?
nothing in particular. I mean, it's fabric.
Okay,
It's not dissimilar to a large tent.
okay,
So, I mean, they may not.
okay.
And
But
Right.
that's like you could say the same thing about the picnic.
Right.
Right, well, that's my thinking is that they do roost on the picnic pavilions and they do soil.
Yeah, no, it's beachfront
Okay,
place.
I understand, we like to keep it looking as
Well, I
natty
mean,
as possible.
what's nice is a hose,
Okay. Ow.
and version C provides more shade than
a
version
little bit. It's not, I deliberately did not, I kept it slightly restrained because I wanted to leave that area so there's some light and shade.
Right.
For that last last module, and then the first module of those last two is unshaped. What's sort of nice about this, if you find, let's say you put all these in, and you find in a couple of years you want more, we could do it and add into it. I think the thing that happens with the small units is they'll start to look like. Exactly.
I get that.
Yeah.
So
Will the shade fall pretty much on the decking?
it will move.
Right, with the sun, right?
And I did, in the image, I actually threw shade at this time of day where it would be.
Okay.
If you look at Photoshop, but I did it based on the way it's.
Is this exactly where when we set up the Thursday night beach concert, is that where the band would be?
No, it's kind of more where Nate's lemonade stand
So
is,
back further that,
closer to the splash pad. Because so it's two, this platform has two sections to it,
right.
so it's the section closer to the splash pad.
The other thing is people huddle under the trees for shade at these
So
So it'd be nice to have more shade. for
Yeah.
people. They all huddle under those trees, they all huddle under the trees. Shade.
In the grass area, yeah.
Yeah. 1 o'clock.
But-
Along these neighbors.
they're very durable. And they're used in waterside parks all over the place. When we, for example, when we did Jacobs originally, some of like the Brooklyn Bridge Park, bunch of shade structures, those were getting built. It was like a year or two after we did our submission. I remember, they look good now. You know, but they last. It's done definitely. What's also nice is you read the point, that's the roof, and what point just came to back.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's a laminated, it's a specialty material. It's not just like,
Can I just step back for a second, because a lot of you are new and may not know this, but he designed all of what's at Jacobs Beach now, all the beautiful improvements there were his design, and John Cunningham with the landscaping, but the boardwalk, the platform, the graft area, the redesigned parking area, and then the platform came later, but we originally had a $500,000 steep grant, and then a year or two later, we got a $400,000 town fund, so $900,000 of improvements. Part of it, I think, included buying the beach cleaning machine, but the design of all this was Will. So I just want to make sure you all knew that. That's why we want to have him be part of this to continue what he started. Will, I do have one question. The part over the splash pad, whichever structure we put over the boardwalk, is going to be the same. It's still the umbrella type one, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
And the way those are set up is they're basically the corner that's up sheet, that's where the post is. So those posts occur behind the benches. You can see the 4 rectangular benches sort of serpentine.
Okay.
Very good.
Yep.
Interesting to have you come here because you completely changed my thought process on this from what we were previously thinking. So, in the thought that we are in a meeting, we need to keep moving. Are there any more questions or concerns or anything anyone would like to bring up?
I would just like to give an endorsement for the splash pad for the umbrella type structure. I had visited a resort earlier this year that had those on the perimeter of their swimming pool. And it was very successful in a shade standpoint. Plus, you're not bumping into any types of umbrella poles or umbrella tables or umbrella stands. These structures behind you and it reaches over top of you like a clamshell. And it was very, very effective.
So that's exactly how that would work. Setting. And then in the broader one, you have, each
Well, can you just comment on the height? I know you said it's lower, or something. I think it's lower or not higher than. the
It's very, at the high point, it's very similar to the
Yeah.
to the original. I think the highest posts, I want to say were right around 14 feet-ish. I'm going to say give or take a foot. But that's the spring point, so the extra fabric.
So the clearance of somebody walking through there.
It's set up so there's reasonable clearance. but I'm trying to keep it.
And when it rains, the rains will come through and then seep through,
The rain will basically,
wash off.
yes, so I mean, all this decking is permeable. So it just. But the vast majority would sweep off.
Lawrence at home, do you have any questions?
No, I really can't hear much, so no, I don't have any.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
So any other thoughts or questions? And our next step is to make the recommendation or we.
I think choose which one you want, because then we have to go to planning and zoning. We want the commission to approve whatever design.
The larger one would be.
That's version C is the larger one.
It would take a little bit more. But it's not nearly the scale, like, for example, when I did the original design for context. The two modules you see, there were 3 of those, and it stretched over. That's giving you. But I've not one price.
All right, so I guess, is everybody okay to just raise their hand with the version that they prefer? So version C, we'll start with version C since we started that. That was the one with the, not all the umbrellas. It was the 2 different types of stuff. So, I mean, all in favor of version C, raise your hand.
Well, the caveat. I would like to go on the record in the motion, whatever, that we do put, some landscaping around the poles.
Oh, and I think that's a given.
Well, and you may not give it a warning, I would like, yes, just in the record,
That it protects.
Can I ask though, could that I appeal to the architect, could that include like boulders or something?
Yes.
For example, just something to keep people from, I don't know what.
Yeah, or something so that if somebody would automatically walk around it rather than, kids go running, I see them running up and down all the time. You just don't want to see them tripping over it. That was my biggest concern before. We just put something there, they'll automatically run away.
So I think we had a majority raising hands.
Yes.
So we'll go with versions. So I'd like,
So I'll make a motion.
Yeah.
that we- I would make a motion that we go with C. Again, with the understanding that we will put some sort of structure, rub, boulders around the bottoms of the poles to make sure that kids don't go running into it.
second. Susan seconds. All in favor? Aye.
The only thing I wanted to add is if there is a big difference on
No, I think we,
Well, we're going to see what it's gonna cost.
and then if we look at it.
And say, well, then backtrack.
Well, keep in mind, we also have a major donor who may fund this, or at least a good part of it. We don't know what that number is yet. And we'll be talking with him, and now that I think maybe that's a step where we meet with him again at some point and show him what the commission
So as
wants.
part of this, we can have a quotation on both.
As well, discuss.
Okay. But
Okay, so,
definitely see.
well, you changed, I think the majority were going with the other version last time. And we thank you for your time in coming, because you've explained a lot more than we knew. And it made it more clear, and it made me more comfortable to raise my hand for that. So thank you very much. So that was all in favor. Did you all in favor? Here we go. All right, so, okay, so we're moving on. Okay, thank you very much. Can we pick one of these? Okay, thank you. Okay, so there is no public forum. We did that. No correspondence. So shall we First, somebody make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of the July meeting. Okay. Any discussion?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the last meeting. Regarding the Eagle Scout project, again, I love the Eagle Scouts. They do a fantastic contribution to the town and Parks and Recreation. I just had one question regarding the purpose of his project. Don't the Parks and Recreation crew free picnic tables during the winter time, during their off-peak season?
We do, or we repair them, we paint them, but Tony said we could use up to 10 more.
Okay,
And he's looking to build, I think, 5.
okay, yeah. I just don't want something to supersede something that our own crew.
No, I mean, our crew does and can do it, but there's plenty of other work they can do. I mean, they do that in the winter because that's the only time they can do
And
it.
it's in-house project.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only question I had there.
It was a shame you missed the presentation. It was probably one of the best ones we've ever had. Well, I haven't been to that many, but one of the since I've been here, so very, very good presentation.
They're getting very skillful.
They are really, they're getting very good. And did you have another question?
I did. I have another question. So on the old business regarding the Sandy Fields Committee with regard to the repair of the upper field of the field high school. I walked the field on Saturday and I saw that the repairs were made. That they had put in a new center post going around on both ends where the soccer cages are located. And it looks great. I mean, I just had a couple of quick questions. Did they take the existing fence and bend it back out to,
No, it's all new.
it's all new from one end to the other?
150 feet on each end,
Okay,
so 300 feet, linear feet of new fabric.
okay. So because I couldn't see how anybody could take that existing fence unless they ran it underneath a steamroller and flatten it out. So the only other question I have with regard to repair looks great. It looks exactly the way it was when the field was first new. Are we still going to have a problem in the future with the lacrosse balls hitting the fence and damaging the spur? Do we need to put some other type of remediation in front of the fence to keep those lacrosse missiles from hitting the fence? And we're coming back to this again in 2-3 years.
So 2 things, we talked.
1 minute. Is this part of can we approve the meeting minutes and then I'll move up standing fields?
Well, the only reason why I asked it was part of the old business, of the repair of the fence.
Right, so.
It's not a correction.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's
Sounds
what we need to
correct.
do.
You asked for an explanation.
So let's do that, and then if it's okay, because I know you need to leave.
I can leave it on the table, that's all. I mean, this is nothing that has to be resolved tonight. I mean, this is something will be ongoing for,
So why don't we?
the
put
next
it
few
in
years.
the next one?
absolutely. Absolutely, that's fine.
But I'll-
Thank you. I didn't mean to be rude. I'm just trying to keep it all in the right.
Well, I just want to make sure I got it on the.
I got the
on
answer
something.
for that anyway, but. Yeah.
Okay,
We'll put-
that's cool.
So we've had a first, a second, we've had any other corrections in minutes? So all in favor
Right. Well, I can't.
Right.
and 1 abstention?
Yes.
Okay. Excuse me. The review and approval of the July expenditures. And someone makes a motion and we'll second that. Second discussion, any questions?
I have a correction on the 3rd page, under the fields maintenance account. See, there are 3 Anderson turf bills.
Mhm.
I was on vacation last week, but I saw this today and I went over with Jen. There are 2 that are identical. It was a mistake. It was a stutter. 2002 2454.
Mhm.
So take one of those out. So if you go to the back page, the bottom, instead of the 183,763, subtract that 2002-22. So what you're going to be asked to approve is $181,538.70. Was 181,538.70.
Mhm.
So I just subtracted it because it was a It was entered twice by mistake.
you. Any other comments, questions, discussion? So I guess we should approve. We made the motion, so, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Uh, Department reports will keep as read unless anyone has any questions or comments, or anything, especially Rick, if you want to.
I just want on the recreation supervisor report, so I added up the numbers. If you look at all the kids, that's 1,731 kids involved in our camps. Now, that's not 1,731 different kids, because if a kid goes to Camp Montauk 8 weeks, that's eight kids, but it's 8
Right.
participation numbers. But the numbers are great. I mean, all these were full. We haven't seen full camps like this, pre-COVID. And so we really bounced back very strongly with all of our programs.
And even if I give them credit for finding things for these kids to do, and when the beach is closed.
Yeah.
Really. done-
Staff, they've been weeding,
kind
doing a lot of
adapted
weeding, sweeping the boardwalks.
meeting these kids.
Yeah.
And I will say, people, great job.
Any other comments on the department?
Just, again, Sarah's report, just look at the numbers, they keep going up. And meal programs, health programs.
Went up a lot.
because we do need to-
We have one on order that I got approved that you saw my report with the board of selectmen a couple weeks ago, and they approved ordering one, which we hope to have by October. And we have another one that we're hoping in about 2 weeks, we're gonna try to get ordered. And we'll have a full fleet then, because the one that we had to take out, it's not worth repairing. I don't know, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, and it's old. It's got when we used to lease them from the Greater New Haven Transit District, we had to turn them in at 75,000 miles for 5 years, whichever came first. Our buses are now, some of them 10, 11, 12 years old, with like 120,000 miles. So we're way beyond what was considered useful life. Well, that's why you see in our 5-year capital plan, we keep asking for, let's replace another one. Now we replace another one. So, Yeah.
There's so many people trying to get on the bus. The only thing I was gonna say is, I think we should, if you can stop this as a board, we thank them for 34 years.
yeah,
Partly, the 30 retired. But it was, we like was retired, but we did well by the time.
Yeah. we had a nice little event for him at the little cookout on Friday for him.
Reports are there. We'll move on to the Standing Fields Committee. Anything to report?
I was unable to attend last.
Yeah, I can. Well, the biggest we were talking about is the Long Hill Park drainage, which is on the agenda, and the fence repairs at the Gilbert High School synthetic turf. Those are two of the main issues. We also let them know that you saw Tony's report, we're finally full staffed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the first time, I think, in about 4 years. Well,
Please, I've never seen.
So let's hope it stays like that. And
mhm.
a special thank you to the team, all your team that stop what they're doing here and go help spread mulch over there, or they're just not limited to what they do in one place, but they move all around. And I'm learning this about the team, your team, and I special thank you to all of them and their willingness to just get up and do it.
One team.
Yeah.
Yep.
This past weekend, we had, Rick knows this, the Shoreline Sting, we hosted their tournament, softball tournament here. At the high school, 2 fields, at Bittner Park, 2 fields, and at Guilford Lakes, 1 field. The people who I've talked to, they were just raving as to how dynamic the fields were. Everything was in fantastic shape. And these are people who are coming from out of town to visit us for their kids to play games. And there was not one complaint that I heard regarding the condition of the fields or the parking. Yeah, sometimes you got to walk a little farther to get to it, but the big thing was that they felt that their kids were playing on a quality atmosphere. So, and that goes back again to Rick and his group for getting that prepared.
Rainy days.
Yes.
Rainy days, it could have been like soggy, but I guess good maintenance over the years keeps it from being soggy.
Yes.
Along with that, at Vineyard Park on Sunday, there were 72 pro disc golfers at a professional disc golf tournament. And I saw some emails that were, posting things online, and Todd gave me some of that for the people, again, were raving about the disc golf course too. So we have good facilities, we have good staff to help maintain.
Green Committee,
There was no meeting in the last month.
land acquisition, I was unable to attend the last meeting. They just had one. And I would like to ask if there was anyone who'd like to take my place on the committee. I'm finding it a little difficult. My granddaughter's moved to Brantford, so it's harder for me to get back and forth and manage. It is once a month. Most of the time you can't record anything because everything's done in executive session. It is really very interesting. I'm new to town, so I had to keep Googling where they were talking about, because they say, oh, Dr. Smith's house. So once you get the handle on that, it's actually really good. And the one I missed last minute, they actually went and walked. So, excuse me. So I'm wondering if someone would like to volunteer to be the Park and Rec chair on land acquisition. Representative chair. Would you? Oh, good. You were the one I had in my mind.
There you go.
Right? It's not bad. It's a Thursday. It's a Thursday.
You need to write to the first selectman,
Okay.
tell them if you would like Susan to represent them.
Okay. Do I do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will, put her on.
Okay, and then they do the
Even
swap.
if they were stepping down. She's
Okay, and is that like a letter, or do I have to do an email, okay, or do I have to put it in writing?
I'm old fashioned, so I would do it.
The old snail mail.
And you said the first selectman.
Yeah. Yeah, the mountain away.
So the meetings have been both in person and Zoom. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So in person, and I mean in town hall. So you can whether they keep going with that, but it's actually a good group, nice group. And you'll learn a lot. I learned a lot about. Oh, it was fascinating. Well, yeah. So thank you very much. I'll write the letter. Do whatever we have. Land acquisition. So move on to unfinished business. Well, look what's top. Big septic improvements.
Is it unfinished?
Can we just leave it there and move on? or-
Well, no, the latest, there were two weeks ago, we had Public Works come down and dig a couple of test pits for possible alternate locations for the leach field. There's a little concern about the leach field being on the beach, although I think that's going to get addressed. But we looked at the grass parking area across the parking lot, the grass parking area. I could have told them the soils there are no good. It's thick clay, mud. You can't do it there. Then we looked across the street where, we own the other turnaround, the berm and the turnaround. There, the soils weren't too bad. So that's a possibility. So waiting to hear back from the health department, which they're for their recommendation, because they make the decision on the soil types and can you do it here? Because you have to make sure there's proper infiltration and all that in the leach field.
Long pitch to get there.
It's a long way. It's a long way. It'd have to go around the back of the building, over or under electrical lines, water lines,
Under the water.
around the boardwalk, under the road. It'd be much more expensive. probably wouldn't have to worry about any major hurricane taking it out. I mean, if it's on the beach, maybe.
It might be a better long-term fit.
Maybe, probably a lot more expensive, but it's really the health director's call. And so I spoke with the engineer for the project today, and Sonia wasn't into the health director, so we're just trying to get together with her to make that final decision so we can get this out to bid and get this done in October.
And I see that you have porta potties now. That wasn't last month. We
I
didn't have
got
that.
on there, I got on there because we never know when that thing's gonna back up. We're making it about every 5 days right now,
Wow.
before we have to get it pumped out. And it's costing a lot, you know, but I just didn't wanna, it happened at a concert. 2 weeks ago, a Thursday night concert, I was there, Todd happened to be there with his daughter. Somebody came up to me and said, there's stuff coming up on the drains. And the concert had just ended, thankfully, but I grabbed the microphone and I said, folks, just want to tell you that if you gotta go, you gotta go home. We have to lock it, you know, it's backing up. And so we were trying to get every 7 days, but I said, look, we gotta go every 5 days. We just can't have this happen. And then I got the Porta Johns there too, just in case. So I think we got 3 more weeks. Camp ends August 18th. After that, it's gonna be better because we won't have 130 kids plus 150 people there using those. So I think we'll have a little more, be able to buy some more time in between pumpings once we get to there. But I really want to get this done like in October. I don't want to get into the fall. It's like, we didn't do it, now it's winter.
And we can't.
Yeah,
And there we go again.
right. We're just waiting for some other people to give us the recommendations.
We concentrated the staff had already, programming. So we've had our meeting and the process has been selected on how they're going to do it is 2.5% of certain account, certain income lines on the program account. And we will also not be given a subsidy for the lunches from the town budget. That's what so the 2.5% really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be because I felt that the goalposts were moving while we were doing this. But when we sat down and went through the lines that where they will take, it's going to be 2.5% of the gross amount of every. I sign up for camp for a week, they get 2.5% that goes into offset our budget items in the general account. Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, it
Okay.
stays within the departments, doesn't go to a general
So
fund.
actually, it's not that bad. It really isn't as bad. I was getting a little concerned. I was arguing that they shouldn't take 2%, 2.5% of a gross because you can't manage what you can't measure. I obviously lost that argument. And but I think we'll be okay. They put in process now, they've got a line item for Ellen to be able to do this with her transaction, so it shouldn't be too hard.
She started working on that already.
Right, I
Yeah.
saw some emails going back and forth about that. And I really congratulate Ellen on her hard work with all that with the accounting for all of that. Because she works very hard. She does a very, very good job. And I want that truly minuted in the meeting minutes because I was impressed with her knowledge. So I publicly thank her. And so we can probably move program account off, except we're going to revisit this quarter. And yes, and we're going to try and stick to that. To be decided last.
Oh, that was the minimum, yeah.
Okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. We'll just see. No, it was lower. It was, the commission had agreed years ago, lower amount, but we. So.
But it's, you know, it's coming out of the adult program. Senior program. Is basically.
But remember that it is offsetting our budget. It's not going
Not
to
going to
another
their
department to pay for their truck for their side. It's offsetting our budget. So I think it's although we're not completely happy with it, it is what it is, and we remove this from the business and take it as done. A pickleball court expansion.
Been playing phone tag with the, today with the engineering firm that's doing the design work on it. They called me, I called them back, and then I didn't hear back from them, but I'm hoping to get the design plans this week. I was hoping for it 2 weeks ago. But I think they're getting close to it. And basically what they're doing is showing how they're gonna pin in, anchor the 200-foot by 10-foot strip on each side of the existing slab. How that's getting pinned in to the slab, so it doesn't move at all with frosty eaves or whatever. And once that's done, we'll be able to get the specs out to go out to bid for it. And hopefully, I was hoping to have the bid out in August. It looks like anything else, it's gonna get pushed back a little bit. But we'll hopefully get it done this fall. And with that, as you remember, we're gonna add 3 permanent pickleball courts where the existing basketball court is. We're gonna turn the skate park 90 degrees and then move the basketball court between the new pickleball courts and the skate park. So we still have everything there. Skate park to lose some of the area they have behind right now, which is the basketball court, really. They're not gonna have that space, but the space between ramps is gonna be the same. We need to have the momentum to get off one ramp to get to the next one and get up to the next one. That's not changing. So I think overall it'll be, we'll salvage everything.
Excellent. And I guess the pickleballers will be very happy with this.
I'll just say that courts that Adams roll away.
We're getting 3 more. Yeah.
Good you have 3 there now. Huh?
Or maybe we have them already, because maybe we got one that was on vacation. We had 1 to try it out, and then we ordered 3 more, so maybe they're.
Yeah, it looked like them.
And thank
Okay,
goodness, all the rain, the grass, I know you said the grass looks a little spotty when you're up close, but when you drive by.
It's green.
Yeah.
I thought it would never grow this summer. So,
Yeah, well, we had it was a very wet summer,
Yeah.
thankfully for that.
yeah.
Oh, we do have that. I see people there all the time. You saying that?
Yes. The benches are in motion for over there, benches at that.
Yeah. And they're not ordered yet, but we're gonna get some. But we could put back what we have, but they're concrete with no back. I'd like to get a real park, nice park bench, kind of like what's that, the bocce court, like that one.
So that's
It's in the
like
works. It just hasn't. Long Hill Park drainage.
So I went to the Board of Selectmen meeting this morning we have 1 bid. We have 4 contractors meet with us, when we did the mandatory walkthrough. 1 bidder, went to the Board of Selectmen this morning. They approved it. It's US Pitch Care for $33,485. We have $40,000 budgeted. So we came under budget. It's always a good thing. But that's pending wetlands approval. I have to go to the Wetlands Commission Wednesday night. So they walked it, or I walked it with them 3 or 4 Saturdays ago. But their meeting is this Wednesday. So I'll be there. And hopefully they approve it. I mean, we're always, and I explained to them, we're just tying in. There's a header pipe, it's called 8-inch pipe that we did in 2012 on the left field of the baseball field. And then it goes out it drains out to a ditch that's in the wetland area. And I said, all we're doing is extending that header pipe about 130 feet. And then it's called lateral pipes, 2-inch pipes, 170 feet, 11 of them going toward the center of the field to pick up the water to bring it out. But and I explained to the Board of Selectmen this morning when we walked it, good thing, bad thing was after some heavy rain, and the entire west side of that field was wet, it was squishy wet. We would not have opened it for somebody to play on it. So in my application to the Inland Wetlands Commission, I expanded the entire field, the entire west side of the field. To approve that, we have 5 years. The approval is good for 5 years. But I went back to the contractor to give a quote to add that part of it. it was an additional $43,000. It was 10% more or something, or 5% more with the purchasing policy. We could have gone forward with it, but it was more than double. And so I couldn't go to the Board of Selectmen and say, let's do the whole thing now. Long term, it'd be less expensive to do it all now, but it's too much. I mean, if we knew what the scope was gonna be that big, we should have. Then if that was our intention, which it wasn't, we would have had to include that in the whole project. Other people did on it like that. So we'll just do the initial part.
Couple will be
for
for
5
the
years.
whole thing.
Right.
Just in case we want
Right.
to continue on.
Right. But for now, we'll do what the original scope was, and it'll still be some improvement.
And do you think there'll be any issue with the wetlands?
I hope not. I mean, we're not doing anything in the wetlands at all. You know, we're, if anything, we're adding to the wetlands. So the hope is that we're gonna drain some water off the field. It's gonna go into these little 2-inch pipes, which are perforated, and then they're gonna be graded to go down to the 8-inch pipe, which then brings it to the, it's called, not an infiltrator, I forgot what it is, but it's like a spillway where a large pipe just goes out to a ditch near the wetlands. So, I'm gonna go and walk it tomorrow or Wednesday, so I can see there's a lot of water in that ditch when we walked it, because we had all that rain. But if I can go to it now and tell them there's very little water in there, so it's not just constantly draining water off the field. It's just that what you saw was after a heavy rainstorm.
It's gonna rain tonight.
Yeah,
Just save that. till
Maybe I
Wednesday
should go.
morning.
well, rain today. too.
Right.
Anyway, that's it. It's approved,
Excellent.
except for, you know, again, approved financially, we just gotta wait for wetlands.
Good job. Request from GYLA for shed at Lone Hill Park.
So Mike Mariano's here.
We welcome Mike Mariano.
Yeah, road coordinator. So we have an identical together, with a local 3 years back, maybe, things. So we have that back there, whether or not we. So this would be. Really long. Approval process.
So the one that was there, it was put in by the baseball group. It was there for years and it just dilapidated. We took it out of there. I was suggesting to Mike that it might be simpler with planning and zoning if it's in the same place, because there was already one there, they're just putting it back. It might be a little bigger though. I don't know if this was quite that size, but I think either way, P and Z is gonna have to approve it. I don't see why they wouldn't. But Mike knew he had to come here to make sure your folks are okay with a shed going there.
And the shed is the same as what is at Nut Plains Park. And how's it holding up at Nut Plains Park? And this is, you guys pay for this?
Just have to go for planning and zoning.
So what we have to do here is say, yes, we don't mind having a shed. And this is a boat or a motion. Okay. Okay.
I'll second it.
Second it, and any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Shall I move you up to advertising banner too? And I apologize, I should put you in front of the agenda. And,
Well, are you involved with relocating the scoreboard?
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's for all of it.
We'll just move it. Okay, so next,
There's no way across all this. Giant control, and I've watched the guys at soccer ball, we have what's called a bounce back. You know, it's like a nice feeling of that, let's stick in the cross ball back and forth. They put them on the side and they kick the soccer, they destroyed our bounce back. And they do that, there'd be no reason to throw a cross ball. Yeah, I'm kind of across and then, still so much further, you look at the buses, they're set into the field, whereas the soccer nets are right up against. That's 100%.
But having said that, youth lacrosse out of Cologne, they're going to contribute $1,000 toward it. And the other, since we're on that, I would have said it from John, still here, but what we're doing now, that the gauge of the fence is much thicker than what was there. And there was a 4-foot gap from the upper rail to the lower rail. Now there's another rail in the middle, so it's only a 2-foot gap. So there's less chance of that going out because it's from here, to here. So that's what we did to improve that there.
So moving to relocation of the scoreboard at Lone Hill Park.
So, yeah, so I'm sure you guys are aware, we tried to put it, it's approved, and it was a significant water issue. So, we've decided, in fact, with the spot we originally wanted. Let's look elsewhere, was because I guess it was the neighbor on that side. I spoke to Ken, who's the football director. This type, we think is ideal. Just visibility and as far as water is on the side of the field by the parking lot. Centered so centered on the field, well visible by the parking lot. Right there. Spot.
Need us to approve that.
That would be right as you drive in. So it's like facing.
So if
There
you're
you go,
driving and you're looking into the field, you're on the clockwise.
Or to that road.
Toward the barn.
It's like when the
Side
side
of
where
the barn. By the football. So that side of the field, that's facing.
So it's not facing.
So Mike, would there be any problem with soccer balls hitting it? Because, the soccer balls were flying over that.
So what we would do, and Ken said, we're looking to netting in the rear field where they have goal posts. So it's going to use footballs.
Yeah.
So we were initially, we were thinking doing netting, we way out both sides. Which is so the ball parking lot wood. We don't use the wood side. This is much bigger, we use mostly the parking lot side. We were thinking of netting. And also, I think we were talking to the contractors putting in defensible plexiglass front.
The forward.
Front of the scoreboard. But those are the two things we're doing, like netting. Plus, also, and soccer.
My suggestion, we're going to do that, because you have to go to planning and zoning for that, this too, and so you get approval for the netting too, so you don't have to go back again. Do everything, maybe the shed, scoreboard, everything all at once.
We're having the one year.
So I think it's one Wednesday a month, but I don't remember which Wednesday
I
it is.
remember it was one.
Yeah,
I think it's-
yeah.
First.
Well, first and third, maybe, first and third. Yeah, okay, twice, yeah. That's right. Wetlands is,
So one more, yeah.
All right, so it's, any other discussion on the sport? What are we doing? The
Okay.
scoreboard.
I believe it's 14 feet wide, 6 feet. It's exactly scoreboard that's over at the field. See, that's it.
And we don't think there'll be any water issues when we start digging
I
right here.
mean, I don't think so, no one else side of it. And it's raised up. We are gonna do, over, because we need to do just some test pits just to test the water table before we, our contract.
So would somebody like to make a motion to approve the relocation as discussed of the scoreboard at Long Hill Park? All in favor? Aye. Yeah, we're good. We wish you the best of luck with everything.
Laura, you good with the netting too, if they want to include that as part of it?
Even though, as I said that's discussed.
So he's not come back again.
Right. Yeah, you won't have to come back to us. Okay. And then now we're to the advertising.
I just wanted to know what we were. We need approval for what we can. Do. So just this is a picture of typically what the scoreboard would look like. And you see that white part above. Okay. So that is part of the scoreboard. It comes blank, so we can do what we want. So I just want to know if there are any restrictions. So for instance, we have several local businesses and you know, sponsor us and give us lots of money to do various things, pay for the scoreboard, pay for the shed, pay for various things to support the league. Can we put any of their logos up on there? Can we, you know, what is the?
My first question would be, would it permanent, would you put up there or? You know,
So we have the option to do both. So I believe this is something we can actually get a permanent thing printed on. So it could be, you know, as simple as the cross or the Grizzlies with a logo, you know, that kind of thing. But we were thinking this as a way to, you know, have these people who are supporting the league or giving us lots of money to do these things. You know, they're getting a significant amount of money. Is it logo just like bishops, local town things that are.
Under history, we've had people who donate to the dog park, we've had people donate to a lot of different things.
We usually frown on advertising.
Right.
Commission, we have always
As
frowned
a
on
thank
advertising.
you,
Yeah.
But I know the golf course has Peace Fund, this because they're local businesses and we sponsor a key. Yeah. So it's,
Same thing to disc golf course. Every fairway has a sponsor's name on it. It's a little sign. They have banners, I think. Yeah, I don't think they're permanent. They're banners. The other thing on the other side of it, Rose, you might remember this years ago that I think it was Allstate or somebody donated a soccer ball and the company's name was on it. And we were told we had to take it down because it was advertising on the field. So it's a different board now. You know, you guys can decide whatever you want to do it because I mean, the precedent, I guess, like I said, disc golf course has sponsor signs, you know, in every tee pad because they paid $500 for that. This is a little more visible because you drive by, you see it. Yeah.
what about it? What
But
about
this is gonna be facing the field, right? It's not gonna be facing the streets. Right.
we thank our sponsors? So it looks more of a.
Acknowledgement.
An acknowledgement. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would,
And we also have, also rather than doing something permanent, we can have a banner made. You know, banner.
as soon as you have something permanent.
Excuse me, Laura, can I pipe in?
yes,
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing bits and pieces. But as far as you know, Rick, the Little League field at the middle school, isn't that the whole outfield wall? With that, isn't there all advertising that, in that whole outside wall, outfield wall?
There are a lot of banners up there, yeah, which they've never come to us for approval. It's up there, but yeah. There are.
Yes, I mean, I didn't want to put anything up that's, you know, definitely felt. We want to do something that obviously looks good. And we would like to, we want anything that's going to be broad. Like the other thing that I was thinking about and as an option for the shed. You know, we have the shed wall, put a banner up on it, something similar. You know, we could go for the cross logo and maybe, you know, some pictures, sponsors, that kind of thing. That would also be a banner similar to this, but that would just be a fixed.
I would suggest banner, mostly, I know, not permanent signs have to go before planning and zoning as well, right?
I think you're right, yeah.
So you may want, that then becomes another issue to planning and zoning.
So if we put a banner, then that can go up and down.
Instead of banner.
I'm not sure. I don't know if Little League ever did with, what's it, Adams?
What do you think? Yeah. They come down, but it's.
So a banner exactly the same size as that space that you would be able to take up and put down and change if you move
This
this to.
space,
Yes,
yeah, so if we did a banner, we just do that.
and it would be here to be thanking your sponsors.
Yeah, it would probably be already, Bill for you, will cost.
Right, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
Right. I,
Monthly sponsor, this is the
Yeah,
sponsor.
well, that's what I wanted to know, if we had a way to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, like right now, we put the name on the back of our shirt. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, there's, now that we're buying, we're paying a significant amount of money to put up a nice scoreboard,
Yeah.
we're trying to make Longview get more traffic. Things, have, have games there and host and have people come and see it. And, it'd be nice to be able to thank our sponsors.
Right, right, can rotate it.
so, would somebody like to make a motion?
Or, I will make. Ban.
Can we look at the shed first? Let me get the
Maybe
shed
get the
there.
shed there
Yeah, get
first.
the shed there first and then we'll discuss the banner for that. So you've made the motion
I'll second
and any more discussion? All in favor?
Right.
Thank you. Thank
On the
you.
shed, put it inside the door, so it's inside, and you can see when you walk in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see everything. So, and I'm glad, I look forward to seeing, I was really adamant that it should say Bill Bird.
Yeah.
Girl, right,
Yeah.
so,
We do want to release. Football has their barn, they have a big, I don't know, I think it's, kind of sign, they have a big sign.
Says youth football, yeah.
We love to do some stuff.
well, absolutely.
On the shed. Yeah, I think that's,
I just want to make sure that one compartment. That's
and we don't want that.
Yeah.
We want it to be nice.
absolutely.
Excellent, thank you.
Great,
Thank you
thank you.
for joining us. So is there any other new business before we?
Do I have one quick question? Back to report, I'm sorry, but, the aquatic issues with permit. Can you sort of share?
Was that on my report?
Yeah, you could-
Oh, okay, what that was, there was an issue with, it was really a rescue issue with, couple kayakers on a kayak on Lake Quantico. And, there was one of our kayaks, and they were out pretty far and they both fell off the kayak. And the lifeguard went out with a rescue board and he was able to get them with great difficulty. There's a language barrier and he was trying to help guide them and they weren't quite understanding what he was saying. Eventually he got back on the kayak, but fell off again. And so I thought, I want to make sure we are doing things properly and the waiver form, let's make sure that's up to date and right. And the rescue plan that we have. So we sent him our waiver form in our rescue plan. I think he was okay with pretty much everything. The only red flag he had was we didn't have life jackets that were the right size for everybody. Just a larger man and the life jacket didn't fit properly. And so since Ellen or Victoria ordered different size, we have them now. We have bigger life
Check
jackets.
the expiration dates on them. Remember I said to you, make sure they haven't gone past. their
Yeah,
time
right, yeah.
or expired. I know they have a life span.
And the only thing else he recommended is that what we were doing is if you signed a waiver form once, and you came the next week, we already had your signature that was in the computer. He said, not every time they have to sign a waiver form, every time they go on that kayak. And so we made that change. So that's what that was all about. And, I wanted to contact our insurance rep just to, make sure that there's nothing else we could do whatever we do to reduce our liability. And he said, and I think, I'm trying to remember if we had to change a little bit the waiver form, but he said, put more of the responsibility on the user. Like he said, for example, who gives them the life jacket? I said, with the gate guard. He says, the gate guard trained to know what size life jackets? Well, no. Then he said, well, make sure that in the waiver, it says that I fully understand I'm responsible for getting the right size life jacket, that I put it on properly. I certify that, not that no one gets tested for swimming, so we don't know if they can swim. Because I even said to him, I'm a little nervous now. I mean, should we even be allowing people to take these kayaks out? He said, no, I think I wouldn't tell you not to do it, because I love that we have the beautiful recreational aquatic resource up there. And to have something beyond swimming was great. We had the paddle boats and the kayaks. And he was totally okay with us continuing using them. But I wanted to go to the insurance company and make sure we're good, with what we're doing. Well, legals, the original waiver was by our legal counsel, the former legal counsel. And I don't think he had much different on that. I think it was more of making it clear that it's the user's responsibility to put on the life jacket and make sure they have the right size. So I think that was about it. And then make sure we had the right size jackets. Yeah, and like I said, they ordered them. They came in within a few days. We have them now. But the kayaks, I think we're not using right now because they were starting to leak anyway. So we're just using the paddle boats. That's the only thing else he asked. Well, who inspects those kayaks? And so I asked our assistant aquatics director to go look at them, and he saw some little cracks on them. They get dragged across the sand, and they can handle a little bit of water, but we don't want something sinking, or we like the Three Stooges movie where it starts to sink and Curly takes out a drill, drills a hole in the other end, and let the water out. We don't want that happening. So we do. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's only so far. This is like kayak, there's much farther.
Right. Well, what the rules was they had to stay within sight of the beach. And that's another question I had from him. And I said, so morally, it doesn't even matter if somebody comes from the boat launch up at the north end of the lake. If they see somebody in the middle of the lake drowning, they're gonna go after them. They're gonna, legally are they? But you're just not gonna you're not gonna let it happen. So, because I told him that, that's an issue, because now you got a lifeguard going out maybe 300 yards and trying to help somebody.
Electric dinghy, electric motored.
We don't. It's the paddleboard. I was looking at getting one, but then now whoever uses it has to have a boating license. And so you can't, and that means
It's a little.
So, because I asked about that too, and he said, that they'd have to have a boating license or certification. Now you got to be everybody, on staff having to get that pretty much, because it's not the same person there all the time. So I think we're okay. Fortunately, he was able to. Right.
No bullying.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah. And I was on vacation last week, so this all happened like the week before that, I think, or 2 weeks before that. So I don't know. Last I knew, we took the 2 kayaks out of service. I don't think we bought new ones at this point. So I think I may be wrong. I think right now it's just the paddle boats. But it's a good thing to have. People don't use them right, because not everybody, most of them who use them aren't trained how to use them. And, again, I went through all that with the insurance guy, and he said, getting in the waiver form, put it all on the participant, take the liability up to town. So the good news is he was not against us having them.
Thank you for taking the initiative to catch up on the forms.
Yeah.
Because I know that's probably your job, but thank you. It's important. We're lucky to have Rick to do these things.
I do have one other thing I should have put under my report. Just want to comment on the concerts. We have 2 more coming up. The ones we had have been good. We have the Eagles tribute on August 20th. And then the last one would be the Doobie Brothers tribute on August 27th. But what I want to comment on is I asked Matt Hoey if we could use the town hall restrooms this year instead of porta johns. And we hired one of our part-time custodians, Jay Creighton. He's been there every Sunday, and he told me people are just, he said, I can't tell you how many comments I'm hearing from people. Thank you for having the bathrooms.
Yeah.
But what I forgot about is people who can't go up the stairs. And he let me know the previous week, somebody mentioned that if they have trouble going upstairs or they're disabled, they can't get in. So I talked to the fire dispatch people before the concert this weekend, and they allowed us to open that bottom door, which goes right to the elevator. And so I made the announcement at the concert. We do have access if you have trouble going on the stairs, go around to the back of the building, go in that door, there's an elevator right there, go up one floor and you can get in there. I'm just thanking Matt for letting us do it. It costs less than the porta johns by paying a custodian. It's much better.
It's awesome. It's totally.
Right.
Yeah, people are treating it Yeah.
Yeah.
Jay's been there. He keeps up to it, checks and makes sure there's toilet tissue and things like that, and paper towels. And then he does a final cleaning at the end of the night before he closes it up. And he kept it open until about 8:45, I think. I told him, make sure the band gets in because they had to go in there to change into their costume. So make sure they have a chance to get in and change before you lock up. And in fact, I talked to the band. They're all set. I went in and told Jay, we're done. You can lock up, clean up, we're done. So anyway, it's been a good addition having those restrooms. I wish I thought of it 30 years ago. It can save a lot of aggravation.
All right, anything else that anyone would like to add? So would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting
moved.
at, what time is it? 7:42 p.m. First, second, all in favor? Thank you.
All right.
All right, have a good week.